lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. That quote is perfect for what I did for myself in the past 3 weeks. I went on a healing journey, mind, environmental, spiritual. I took a hiatus from most social media platforms, including this one. I celebrated myself turning 54 this month in 6 days and celebrating myself healing from that abdominal hysterectomy where they had to remove 2 5-pound tumors that were stuck to my spine. On the 22nd, I took a flight to Honolulu. It took about 10 hours to get there. My first leg was going from Columbus, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan. From there, I went from Detroit, Michigan to Seattle, Washington. And from there, I went to Honolulu. It was a great experience on the way because I met some interesting and very nice people. I met a guy flying to Detroit. He looked just like Robert De Niro, but a younger version. He said something to me because I was measuring the tray tables because I made a mock covering so I can sell on my websites, but I wanted to ensure the size was right because I made the covering from the information I found on the length and width from the websites. And that information was pretty accurate. So he's like, "Are you making a tray table?" I said, "No, I made some covers, but I just want to make sure I have the size right." And I took a double take, and I was like, "Has anybody ever told you you have a smile like Robert De Niro?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, yeah. Just before we left, somebody at the Delta check-in told me the same thing. I was like, "Oh my goodness, you look just like Robert De Niro." And he just smiled and laughed, and he had that little tooth on the side. I said, "Are you sure you're not kin to Robert De Niro?" He's like, "I'm sure I'm not kin." I think he was lying, girl, because And then on the other side of me was this guy, and I was telling him, I asked him, was Detroit his final flight? He's like, "No, I'm going to somewhere." He asked me the same thing. I said, "No, I'm going to Honolulu." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah." And then he asked me what I was going for. I told him, and then he's like, "What are you going to do interesting?" And I told him I was going to go to the shark cave dives. He's like, "What?" He's like, "I would never do that." I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I have intentions on it, but once I get there, I might just stay on the boat." We laughed. He said something funny. I can't remember what it was, but on the next flight to Seattle, I know I met someone nice there, but I can't remember. I think I was sleeping most of that flight. But from the Seattle to Honolulu, I met a lady who was 55. She was from Iowa, and she was kind of hippie from Iowa. We had a great conversation. We talked probably most of the flight, and she invited me to church on that Sunday, but I told her I was leaving before Sunday because she meets her friends there once a year and just does themselves. I mean, you wouldn't imagine how many solo flyers were going to Hawaii. It was just an amazing experience. And it was a melting pot of all races. Everybody treated you so kind, especially the restaurant workers, the hotel workers. It was just amazing. And I'm planning on going back there in the near future. Even though flying over water kind of scared me. Flying on the way back, it was two legs. One from Honolulu to Seattle, which was almost a 10-hour flight. Almost a 9-hour flight. And we flew overnight over water. And I was so sleepy, I didn't even care. They fed us dinner, and they fed us breakfast in the morning. But on the way there, in the middle of the night, I felt turbulence, and I woke up grabbing my neighbor. Luckily, she was kind. She didn't mind because she was probably asleep too. And that was the same neighbor who got my breakfast sandwich and held it for me until I woke up that morning. So, I don't care what lies behind me, what was behind me, or what lies before me. I'm living in the present moment, and because I took that 3 weeks vacation for myself and mentally prepared myself for the present, I reflected with my past, and I evaluated where my future was going. Even though I've been home for 10 days, I still took time out for myself, just for myself. I didn't care about social media. I didn't care about making a podcast because this doesn't pay my bills. This is fun for me, and I appreciate all the followers, past and present. I'm sure I lost some followers because I haven't made a podcast in 3 weeks, but oh well. That's life. When we gain more followers, and maybe my past followers will come back. So, this podcast is telling you that you need to take time for yourself. You need to take time for yourself, especially for mental healing. Even though you may not have anything wrong with you mentally, you need to recharge mentally. And you need to detox from negative people and negative situations. That may mean you're going to be alone most of the time, because unfortunately there's a lot of negative people out there and a lot of negative situations. Meaning there's a lot of frenemies out there that act like they're your friends, but on the down low, they just want you to fail. They want you to fail. And some are not that slick. Some frenemies even tell you that they despise you in what they say to you. You know, those slick words, those slick sliding words that they use to make you feel, to try to make you feel inferior compared to some situations and even themselves. And strangers, even people you don't know, will try to make you that way, feel that way, because they're insecure within themselves. People would try to make you feel inferior because they are insecure within themselves. Don't buy into it, don't fall for it, and don't react to it. That's the worst kind of revenge you can get on those kind of people. Just don't react. Just ignore them. If they're on your social media page saying something negative, block them. Don't even buy into that. Because if you do, you are letting them win. They have one more win if you buy into that and if you show your anger. Next week's sessions are going to start with red flags. Have you noticed them? Have you ignored them? Do you know what even red flags look like or sound like? We are going to go through a host of red flags in the coming weeks. How you can tell what they are, the level of red flagness that you can detect, and when pink flags start turning into red flags, and when red flags are on their way to black flags. So stay tuned, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Ralph Waldo Emerson.